Hello, everyone. Welcome to our week 5 check-in. Um, if you're here, chime in the chat. That way we know that you are here. Pastor Benton is here as well, but he's in the background on assignment. And so you may have me for the bulk of this time. So I'm excited. We were just chatting before we logged on just how good we're feeling. Pastor, really talked about how light he's feeling, how, you're not walking around feeling full and bloated. And so hopefully you are feeling some of those same things as well. If you're following along with our dietary guidelines, we are in a season right now where we are not having any added sugar, no artificial sweeteners. We're not having any artificial flavorings, additives, any of those things. We are not having fried food. And this past week, we got rid of all of our main grains. So our breads, our rice, pasta, those types of things. So we have definitely lightened things up. So if you're following along with us, hopefully you're feeling some of those benefits as well. And hello, Jaden. Hello, Sister Mulligan. Yes. So definitely put in the chat if you have been feeling some of those positive effects as well. And we'll talk more through that in a little bit. But yeah, just let us know how you've been feeling. So we have one more week left in our temple cleanse. And I think it's very interesting where we fall within our particular church and our particular community here within the season of Lent. Most of the world, they are starting their season of fasting, and we are rolling out of our season of fasting at the end of next week. And so one thing that we'll talk about next week is just how do we kind of re-enter regular life after this season. There may be some habits, some dietary changes, things that you want to continue and maintain. And there may be some things that you've been missing and you want to get back. And so we'll talk through that and give you some safe steps of how to introduce those things back. And then maybe some things to continue to hold on to, because I don't know if you felt it, but on our grace days, the 2 grace days that we had, and then if you had a birthday or an anniversary during this time, you may have had more grace days. Sometimes when we overindulge too quickly, it can come back to haunt us. So I want to make sure that we are exiting this time of consecration and fasting in a healthy and whole way as well. But let's get to the week at hand. So next week, it will be very simple. I mean, it's a little sad, but very simple. Fish only, no other meat, just fish. But we pull out our handy dandy food list. We still have all of these things that we can still enjoy, most of the list, because some things have been scratched off. So we'll talk through, what do you do now? Like when there's no fish as our main protein source, what can you do? So we're eliminating all meat except fish next week. That includes shrimp and shellfish. So just to be clear, that means that we are not going to enjoy the fish and the shellfish either. I know Jaden, she said she loves the highlights. I went through my list and I just highlighted all the things that I felt like, yes, we eat this. And that kind of draws my eye to it. And then I look at the list and it's all highlighted in colors. So I don't fall into that feeling of deprivation. I'm like, wow, okay, these are a lot of options. What is it that we want to have this week? So that's a helpful tip for you, maybe going into next week. Highlight, circle, underline, put a check mark, something by those foods on the list that you know that you enjoy and that we can still have. That way you're not thinking about what you can't have. You are focusing more so on what you can. So again, no shellfish, fish only, no other meat, but we can still have all of our fruit, all of our veggies. We can still have beans and lentils. Within those veggies, it's all inclusive except for white potatoes. That's the only veggie that's off of the table right now. So you can load that plate up with your fruits and veggies and your beans, lentils, nuts, seeds, those types of things, okay? So here's some strategies for you. I want to be fancy sometimes, but at the end of the day, I also want to be budget friendly and to be smart about it, to cook meals in a timely manner, to get it on the table for my family. And the good thing with fish is that it does not take long to cook. So hopefully your meal prep and the time that it takes to get food on the table might be reduced a little bit. So that'll be fun. But some strategies, go for your canned fish aisle. Those are the, yes, Jaden asked, can we still do tofu? Of course. That list that's in there under proteins, just knock out the poultry, the beef, lamb, venison. Everything else in that list is still allowed in terms of your protein, main protein sources. But go for your canned fish, canned salmon, canned tuna, sardines, herring. This is my time to try sardines. I think I used to eat sardines when I was younger. My grandparents raised me, so I remember having them in the cabinet a lot, and I think I used to eat them then. But this is a great time to pull sardines out and put them on a salad, wrap it up in some lettuce. Just try something new, and you don't know what you don't like unless you try it. So canned fish is going to take the stage, at least here, for the while. And then, of course, you can get fresh or frozen as well. So think about your salmon. Think about tuna steaks. If you've never had the actual, like a fillet of tuna, it tastes very different than the tuna that's in the can. Whiting, flounder, all different types of fish. You can experiment and try different seasonings and different flavorings. You can take your salad dressings that you've been using and use that to add a little marinade or add a little, glaze at the end of baking or roasting that fish. So just try something new this week. Now, Sister Kalisa in the group asked, what if you don't eat seafood? What are you supposed to do? So that's a very real. So if you have allergies or if you just have an aversion of some sort to seafood, lean into your beans, lean into your lentils. This is a great time to get that crock pot out, get a bag of dry beans, and bake crock pot, cook, stew, whatever you want to call it, a batch of those beans. Put them in the freezer or the fridge, bring them out and have soups, put them on salads, have them just as a side, like as a protein source on the side of some veggies. Let those beans kind of take that center stage. Lentils are also great. The red lentils and yellow lentils cook up pretty quickly. So those are great to have on hand if you need to pull together a quick meal. Your green lentils, your brown lentils, they're going to take a little bit longer. But if you make them ahead of time and then pop them in the fridge or the freezer, they'll be ready for the meal that you want to add them to. And again, it's your time to kind of try some new things. So in our beans section, we have lots of beans listed, not an exhaustive list, but there's some beans on here that I have not tried before. I've never tried fava beans. I don't eat split peas that often. And the first bean that's on the list, adzuki, I've never heard of that. So this is a great time to maybe try some new things because again, you don't know what you don't like if you don't give it a try. So lean into beans, lean into lentils, also lean into if you eat soy-based products, tofu, edamame is a great protein source. Tempeh, seitan, miso, those are all plant-based proteins that are on our list that you can reach for in lieu of seafood. The plant-based meat substitutes are also there, but of course you see the little asterisks on the list to approach those in moderation, okay? So those are there for you if you truly need something substantial to sit in the place of meat and the other types of seafood. But use those in moderation a couple of times a week. Maybe one meal out of your day may contain one of those, but not every meal, not every day. Okay. The reason being because they are overly processed, but they are a good source of protein. A lot of the ones that we have on the list have some fairly clean ingredients. So it's a great alternative. Again, if you are going from, I don't know what to reach for, that's a quick and easy way to get that protein in. Okay. All right. So my tip for you is to lean into your meal plan. So take some time this weekend and think about 3 breakfasts, 3 lunches, 3 dinners, 3 snacks. Write that list down and just put them on repeat for next week. That's your plan for next week. It's only 1 week. We can do this. I know I'm already working on my meal plan for next week, and I'm already planning on salmon croquettes. I'm planning on tuna cakes, which are basically the same thing as salmon croquettes, but with tuna. I'm planning on doing like a tuna salad, but stuffing that into some peppers. And for my kids, they will have some of the same things that they would normally have, but for dinners, we're leaning into fish. So with your kids, you may want to kind of test some things out with them if they're not big fish eaters. So definitely give them some grace, but you definitely want to challenge yourself to see how creative you can be and keep it simple. Like I said, fish cooks up pretty quickly. You can prep your beans ahead of time. You can also do the canned beans. Just rinse them off really well first to reduce the sodium that's in that can. And so you should have some pretty easy meal prep, hopefully, for the upcoming week. I want to remind you, this is not a diet, okay? We say this every week. It's not a diet. And I don't want to say but, because but negates everything that came before the word. So this is not a diet, period. And we want to use wisdom when we move forward with things next week. So that means I'm encouraging you to have protein with every meal. So even if I see a lot of juicing in the group, I see a lot of salads, I see a lot of like veggie and fruit platters, which is amazing. Keep that. Make sure you're having some source of protein or a healthy fat with those fruits and veggies. That is so that your blood sugar can stay nice and as level as possible. You're not going to have any huge blood sugar spikes and dips. We want to stay healthy and use wisdom as we're moving forward into this next week. Additionally, follow any medical recommendations that your physician or your healthcare provider has given you. If they say, I understand this is what the fast is doing, but you are not allowed to do it, follow your physician's recommendations. Find other ways to lean into the fast for next week, okay? We have several other aspects: the exercise, the screen time, the devotion, the quiet time. All of those things can be other ways that you are kind of doubling down for the final week during this time of consecration. So don't feel like you have to sacrifice your health and your well-being just so that you can check off the box with the fast, okay? Now, if your doctor has cleared you and you have no dietary issues or no health issues that will be impacted, it's your time to challenge yourself in this final week. So because we can do this, and lean on the group for that support. So have protein with each meal. Secondly, don't forget water. We've been increasing our fiber over the past couple of weeks. Even though we took some of those grains out, we've still increased our veggies. And so hopefully we're having more veggies, more fruit with each meal. That means that our body is getting in more fiber. So that means that we need more water to make sure that everything moves along smoothly, if you know what I mean. Okay. So increase your water and make sure that you are drinking that throughout the day. So protein with each meal, making sure we're having our water. And the third tip is think about slowing down when you're eating your meals. Even if you have a 30-minute lunch break, slow down and maybe take half of that, like your 15 minutes to eat instead of maybe a standard 5 or 10 minutes to eat. Slow down, put your fork down between each bite, have your meal, have your snack on a plate. Sit down when you're eating your food. I know I am notorious for eating my lunch in the kitchen in the middle of tasks or meetings. So sitting down and eating our food, that's going to help us to feel more full and more satisfied, especially as the amount of food on our plates may not be as much as it typically is, or the type of food on our plate is going to be a little different. Slow down. That's going to give you more of an opportunity to truly enjoy the food that you're eating, to taste it, to appreciate it. And then you'll be more satisfied on the back end. It also gives your stomach time to tell your brain, hey, we're full down here. Stop eating. And whenever we have the food on our plate and we're shoving it in and we're just eating it because it's there, we're not giving our bodies time to communicate with itself to say, hey, I'm full or I'm still hungry. So slow down, sit down during your meals this week, enjoy it with the utensil, fork, spoon, whatever it is. Try not to just shovel it in, and give your body time to communicate back and forth to say, hey, we're full, we're satisfied, we really enjoyed this. And that way you can move on to the next task that you have for the day without constantly going back and thinking about that food. Okay, so protein with each meal, making sure that you're keeping water a priority, and making sure that you are slowing down during those meals. Okay. A couple of things that I want to leave us with is in our devotion time this week, it's week going into week 5. We have one final week. As I mentioned, next week, we're really going to talk about how we move forward from here. But this week is a great time to kind of assess and even journal out, whether it be writing or a voice journal, a voice text to yourself, how you are feeling right now. For 5 weeks, for a total of 5 weeks, we have not had any added sugar into our diets, except for maybe a couple of days here and there on our grace days. Okay. So for 5 weeks, pretty much, you've eliminated added sugar. For 4 weeks, it's been the artificial sweeteners. Okay. Then we have all those things that we've progressively eliminated from the things that we've been eating. So with your body, check in. How is your body feeling right now? Are you getting less headaches than maybe you did before? Are you feeling lighter in your body? Are you feeling, is your body temperature different? You know, when you go into a room, are you feeling cooler or warmer? Do you feel like you have more energy throughout the day? Are you sleeping better? Are you waking up better? Are you not having to hit the snooze alarm as often as you did before? Are you having fewer cravings, or are you having more cravings but for different things? These are all questions to just kind of sit with for a moment and ask yourself, what am I noticing about my body that is different? Are you seeing a little bit more cheekbone definition? That's not what it's about, okay? But these are some of the impacts, some of the effects of watching what's going in and doing more with our bodies in terms of movement. That's some of the benefits that we get from doing those things. So just kind of journal out, how am I feeling in my body? Next, journal, how are you feeling mentally and emotionally? Have you been able to think clearer since you're kind of putting some of these other distractions to the side? You're limiting your time on social media, limiting your time in front of the screen, limiting the time that you're sitting still throughout the day. You've kind of honed in on your meal options. Are you feeling more confident in your decisions and the way that you're moving through your life throughout the day? How's your stress level? Has your stress level decreased at all? Or are things still stressful, but maybe your response has changed to those stressors? Notice some of the things that you've been thinking about. What are you thinking about lately? What's ruminating in your mind over and over? Is it some of the same thoughts? Are you having new thoughts? These are all of the things that come out of having a season of prayer and consecration and time with the Lord. He renews our mind every single day. So sit with your thoughts. Think about what you're thinking about, and think about, how has my thinking shifted? How am I feeling mentally? My emotions? Am I not popping off, as easily as I used to? Okay, so journal that out. And then finally, in your spirit, think about how you're feeling in your body, how you're feeling in your mind and your emotions, and think about your spirit. Do you have a fuller feeling in your spirit? Do you feel like you've grown closer to God? Do you feel like you've developed some rhythms in your life that maybe were missing? You might have had them before. Maybe you got away from them and then maybe reestablished them. Maybe you have rhythms in place, but they've just been solidified. They've been strengthened. Maybe you're doing some things a little bit differently. Maybe you're incorporating worship music in ways that you didn't have it before. Let's see. Do you feel like your heart is a little softer in places where that had been a challenge before? These are all questions to just sit with in this next week as we prepare to exit this season of prayer and consecration as a church family and as a body of Christ. Okay. So, as you do that, just consider, what do you want to continue, whether it be habits or the rhythms of your day, whether it be some of the dietary shifts that you've made. Consider, what are some things that you want to add back but might need a little tweak. Okay, so you want to bring chocolate back, but not every day, as you were eating it before, just as an example. What are some of those things? And then finally, what areas of your life do you see that you really want to still focus on with the Lord? Like, what areas still need attention? Because it isn't all about coming out and everything is fine on the back end of this time. Sometimes it's coming out on the other end and having a spotlight on the areas that still need refining, and that is okay. So it's going to look differently for each and every one of us. So don't feel one way or the other if you are coming out and you're like, I still don't know what I'm doing. That's okay. Okay, because the Lord has begun a good work in you, and he will continue that good work until he is complete. Okay, he is complete with it. So just begin praying through those things. And next week, we'll kind of give some more concrete steps on how to build a plan to move forward. So if you have questions, our group is still here. Group is still active. Group is still available. We are here. Leadership coming in early into the sanctuary, that is still happening. So if you haven't had a chance to do that, please take the time to do that. I know a lot of us are going to be dropping our children off for youth choir on Sunday morning. That's a great prompting to maybe stay in the sanctuary and use that time for silence and prayer, and to get some deep breaths in, and to truly soak in the presence of the Lord before we start worship, to prepare our hearts for worship during that time. So thank you so much for joining us. If you were here live, thank you so much for watching the replay. Please keep Pastor in your prayers as he is pastoring, as he is doing his call and his will. And I thank you all, and I will see you in the group. Bye.